Today, I'm going to try to beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon SoulSilver with only Ice-type Pokemon. Now, the Ice-type is infamous for making Nuzlockes incredibly challenging, if not downright impossible. For some reason, especially in earlier gens, Game Freak consistently shoved all the Ice-types towards the end of the game. And in SoulSilver in particular, you technically can't get a single one until after the 4th badge. But for this run, we might have one saving grace, the Pokewalker, that might just make this run possible to start off with. With a further few possible encounters later down the line, this run is going to be reasonable when we get there, but at the beginning, I foresee this being nightmare difficulty. Let's see if we can beat Pokemon SoulSilver with only the first Ice type that we find on each route, no items in battle, level caps in place, and the battle mode on set at all times. Alright, here we go, one of those virtually impossible runs, SoulSilver with only Ice types. Beginning the game, we have to choose our starter, and I'm going to do something I don't normally do. Pick Totodile, the starter that will give our rival a type that's weak to ours, Grass via Chikorita. Given what's up ahead, I don't think we're going to need any added difficulty whatsoever. I'm not even sure we can make it past the second gym as it stands, if I'm honest, so it's time to activate our Pokewalker to get our first encounter. But we're gonna need a Japanese one. You see, there is a Smoochum available in the Dim Cave, available in North America, but it's already level 12, meaning not only would we inevitably break the level cap, but we also can't get a move that's gonna be crucial that we can only get at earlier levels. So we'll have to hit up the event-exclusive area called Amity Meadow, where I got a level 5 Smoochum that I named Cinderella, and who has a naughty plus attack and minus special defense nature. Pretty bad, but at least we can start the run. Oh god, why? I'm starting to regret my life choices already. Behold, the only guy in the world to get mad at you for not breaking into his house? Seriously, he gets mad that you didn't barge in. Okay, Professor Oak is disturbed. He already hated Jinx and Kanto and wants to leave Johto ASAP after seeing this abomination discovered by Elm. I don't blame him. Back at Cherry Grove, we have to take on our rival, and I've gotten no XP so far as I anticipate us needing all the EVs we can get before the level cap. At least he does have Chikorita, and we have Ice Punch with a plus attack nature, but boom, a crit to start off. Hopefully that's a good omen for the run.
Are you sure about that?
Oh no, the police already? I guess we're getting arrested for having this hideous thing with me. I plead guilty to all charges. Now on Route 29, we can find level 2 Pidgey, who I'm going to train up a bit against exclusively to get speed EVs while raising our XP as little as possible to stay beneath the cap. Further to that, I'm going to have our mom save our money, which is going to be absolutely necessary for a particular reason. We then safely arrive in Violet City where the first gym is, but we are required to take on Sprout Tower first. Now Bellsprout aren't too challenging overall for an Ice and Psychic type Pokemon, but they do give attack EVs, which is not ideal. And I decide to switch train using Totodile because my calculations tell me we cannot afford all this XP on Cinderella alone. I'm not using Totodile in battle, just sending him out to start and then switching Cinderella in, so technically not breaking any rules, and this prevents us from breaking the level cap rule after all. This did get dicey in a few situations since they do get a free hit on a very frail Pokemon, but making it to the top we have to face the Elder. Fortunately, switch trading against his first Bellsprout wasn't too risky as it just used Growth on the switch, and Ice Punch is an instant one-hit KO. On the second though, I switch in Totodile for the Growth and then back to Cinderella, who gets smashed with a Vine Whip for a third before another one-hit KO. In comes his final Pokemon, Hoot Hoot, and at this health I cannot risk the switch, so here comes a bunch of XP for Lil Smoochum. We can't quite KO with Ice Punch, then Peck nails us to just 7 HP, but we can outspeed on the next turn to take it down and win the battle. That got quite risky, especially given that he could have used Hypnosis too. While EV training further, we hit level 11 where the move that caused us so much trouble is finally learned, Powder Snow, a 40 power special move. And by level 12, I managed to get 67 speed EVs before hitting up the first gym led by gym leader Faulkner, the flying type trainer. Now, it would seem we have a good matchup against him, but again, Smoochum is incredibly frail, so I'm nervous. But our EVs come in clutch against Pidgey, preventing him from sand attacking us, and we get the one-hit KO with same type attack bonus or stab super effective Powder Snow. But then in comes the big threat, Pidgeotto, who instantly hits us with Tackle and does almost half right away. Oh dear lord. Powder Snow then does over half and gets the freeze. No way! But then, on the next turn, he thaws out right away, but Cinderella tanks Tackle on just 2 HP and can return a Powder Snow with vengeance for the KO and victory. Holy, that was close. But miraculously, we got the first badge. Hitting up the mart nearby, we have a glimpse of what I thought would be the key to this run, our mom's savings giving us some free items, many of which can be quite rare indeed. No, I don't want the ultra deluxe rare egg. I don't care, Assistant Jimothy. And as the next part of my elite plan, I get the Rock Smash TM from this dude who I can teach to Madam HMs, our resident furret. By using it on the rocks in the Ruins of Alph, we can find a whole bunch of colored shards which give us 100 Pokédollars each, and max revives even which give us 2,000. Not to mention we can exchange the shards in Violet City for almost any berry imaginable. With that said, as I started to fear, apparently the mom's savings mechanic only applies strictly to battle earnings, not money earned from any other means. Oh no, my whole plan is shot. Well, I might as well reveal it. I was gonna use this stellar infinite money method to wait until she bought us a focus sash, which I thought would save us, but apparently that's not possible yet. Regardless, I now move on without a single hint of a plan. Ah, the old rod. If only this was the good rod, that would be helpful for our cause. Picking up the shell bell along the way, we next enter the Union Cave, where ironically enough, there is an ice encounter, but it's not accessible until after we have surf, so not yet. In the Slowpoke well, we've got to challenge the Team Rocket executive Proton, who leads with a Zubat, and because we're switch training still, we get hit by Supersonic upon sending Cinderella back out. Thankfully, we make it through for the Powder Snow on the next turn, which instantly KOs. Then in comes Coughing, and we make it through again to hit for less than half, then Smokescreen lowers our accuracy. We make it through again though to take it to the red, then since we pretty much got this in the bag, I quickly switch so we can get more EVs by splitting experience with Madam HMs. Getting poisoned in the process, but it's not a problem for Cinderella, boosting the bad guys from this place. Wait a minute, I thought you had a broken back, Kurt. Suddenly you're okay after I do all the work? Now thinking about how I can best tackle our upcoming challenge, I hit up Route 32, the only place I could think of where we can get special attack EVs from level 6 Mareep. However, right upon encountering one, I realized there's another method. Since it's nighttime, Ghastly now spawn in Sprout Tower, and this is a way more efficient method as they can be at level 3, giving only 40 XP each, and there's level 3 Rattata here too for more speed EVs, so it's kind of the perfect place. In the end, I managed to get 45 special attack EVs before... do we have to? The second gym is upon us, Azalea Towns, and man, even the trainers were difficult with things like Beedrill, but fortunately we can technically skip the double battle here as it only activates if you have more than one Pokemon, so I deposited Furret before moving toward the second gym leader, Bugsy, and I kept realizing more and more how screwed we are here. Why? Well, he leads with a level 17 Scyther with base 110 attack and 105 speed, along with 70 power stab super effective U-turn and 40 power technician boosted quick attack against, well, this. A complete nightmare. Let's give it a try. Okay, boom, the run's over. Well, that went well. Alright, you guys know me by now, I am not giving up. Even if this run is impossible, I'm gonna make it possible, damn it. Realizing just what's at stake here, I proceeded to reset until I literally got a 31 IV in special attack and speed Smoochum along with the timid nature. I think it took around 38 resets, so I don't know if you technically count those as attempts per se, but regardless, I fought all the way back to Bugsy again, EV training, switch training and all, with a new Smoochum I'm calling Cindy instead. But this time, I filled up all 6 of our party slots with Garbage Mon so we could have more switching XP to work with, allowing me the 228 speed EVs I need to maybe outspeed Scyther, and I managed 48 special attack EVs too. You see, the Focus Sash was going to be my answer and how I planned to accomplish this run in the first place, but now we are betting on sheer stat power. And quite frankly, luck. With our better stats and plus speed nature, we can now outspeed even Scyther, and I was really hoping for the freeze here on Powder Snow, but nope, and it didn't even do over half. But then he goes for Leer. Okay, maybe we can get the higher range on this hit, but nope. He survives on just a sliver before his berry and goes for focus energy. No way! I knew Bugsy tended to do this strat every now and then, especially if he didn't outspeed, but wow. He didn't even quick attack on the next turn, as a crit would have definitely taken us out, so Cindy the legend makes it past him without taking any damage. Literally guys, I was fully ready and willing to reset quite a few times before I gave up on this run, but being able to smash through Bugsy on only our second attempt was nothing short of miraculous. Since I knew we'd outspeed, I was depending on either a crit or a freeze before he could attack, or what happened, which is him not using U-turn on the first turn. Wow, I'll take it, as now his Metapod and Kakuna are no problem at all from there, winning us our second badge. Cindy, you are a damn legend. This might actually be possible, but it's certainly not over yet. Well, immediately following that, we have our first actual real battle against Silver, and gosh, this level cap is approaching quickly. He leads with a Ghastly, and we don't have a Psychic move yet, unfortunately, so we only hit it to the red, but then he went for Mean Look, not Curse thankfully, so another takes him out on the next turn. And the good thing here is that Zubat is weak to Ice, not just Psychic, so a single Powder Snow does the job. Then in comes his now evolved starter, Bayleaf, who tanks a Powder Snow on a third, then lands a Razor Leaf, and whew, we survive on less than half before a berry, then can nail it with another for the win. Crazy that one single crit from a high critical hit ratio move would have ended our entire run. Whoa, 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 enough with the rocket smack talk. Shots fired at your very own daddy much? Stay out of mischief? Okay, I could do that. For all my invaluable efforts, I get rewarded with the charcoal item to boost fire move power. Perfect for my ice team. Oh man, the cops are still after me. Let's get out of here. We next arrive in Goldenrod City, where the next gym is, and to prepare, I'm gonna hit up the department store first, as it has a crucial TM we can buy. None other than Blizzard, with massive stab 120 power at the cost of only 70% accuracy. We can also employ our Rock Smash strat to get enough money to buy a ton of calcium. That way we can raise our special attack EVs to 100 and then EV train from there if possible. After running through the trainers with our XP splitting strat, which is absolutely necessary to not overlevel, we end up with around 110 special attack EVs and face what might be just as great a challenge as Bugsy, Whitney, the third gym leader. Honestly, this is looking like a complete crapshoot, and her Miltank is, dare I say, utterly insane. Especially for a Smoochum to deal with, but let's give it a go. Her lead Clefairy's main threat here is Metronome, as we could literally get KO'd right off the bat depending on what she rolls. Knowing Blizzard doesn't have the range, I go for 100% accuracy Powder Snow to begin with, and then she went for Mimic. Okay, that's a great start, as I can now go for Blizzard knowing we cannot afford to miss, and we don't. Whew. One down and no damage, plus we level up too, which is allowed in Hardcore Nuzlocke, so you just have to be at or below the level cap when the battle starts. And we need all the help we can get, as in comes Miltank. Now going for Sing here is absolutely necessary, as we can't even 3-hit KO this thing, but we miss and then get stomped below half already before our berry. But then we do land the second one, but her Lumberry heals her. Then we get smashed to 5 HP in the red. Ugh. I have to go for Sing again, and we do land it. Okay, we're still in this by a thread. I then go for Blizzard, and we land it, and whoa, I thought it was a crit as it nearly KOs the damn thing. As it turns out, I had accidentally run my calcs when planning the run with Thick Fat Miltank, not Scrappy, as that's what the calculator defaulted to and I didn't realize it. We're way better off than I thought. But then she super potions and we miss our next Blizzard. Oh dear goodness, please, we need to hit one again. And we do, but it's just barely not enough again, but she stays asleep. Yes! Now I think we have the range for the 100% accuracy Powder Snow outspeed and KO, but she super potioned again. I forgot that she had 2 of them. But she stays asleep as we hit her next Blizzard, and then we can outspeed and get the Powder Snow KO from there thanks to our EVs. Let's go! Man, I literally nerfed us unknowingly. I thought we needed Blizzard's power, but we could have done that way easier with Ice Beam from the game corner. Goodness gracious, you should have heard my reaction. I was celebrating so hard as we got through 2 major challenges I thought would make this run not completable. Moving up north, we unlock a key location for us, the Pokeathlon Dome, and coincidentally, since I was playing on a Wednesday, that means the best item we need is purchasable, the Water Stone, which we'll need for a future encounter of ours. Oh, come on, not you again. I thought I already disposed of you. using the squirt bottle to awaken rock hard wood. Okay, sounds weird, but certainly doesn't compare to the recent Game Freak revelations. But anyway, I quickly realized if we miss Blizzard here, we lose the run unless Sudowoodo happens to miss Rock Throw. This is our only way to get through him, and we miss, but thank God he just used Flail, which is low power since he's still full health. Then we hit Blizzard, but my calcs were wrong apparently as he survives, but just went for Mimic so we can safely get the Powder Snow KO on the subsequent turn. Sheesh, I never thought the damn Sudowoodo battle would be such a threat. But rewards await, as arriving in Ecruteak City means we can get the Surf HM, which unfortunately we can't use until after we get the next badge. With that said, the West is open to us without it, and this might be a lifesaver. But before that, we make sure to register for the Safari Zone grand opening with Boba Fett. After reaching all the way to Olivine City, in one of the houses we can pick up the key to our next encounter, the Good Rod. Finally. But then I went further west and, oh damn it. This is Route 40, not 41? 41 is only accessible with Surf? Oh, come on. I thought we could get our next encounter at this point, but, nope. Well, realizing our predicament and that we have to face yet another gym with one singular Pokemon, I finally commit to the Game Corner grind and get both the Ice Beam and Substitute TMs for Cindy. And just to add insult to injury, at this point in the game Bill goes back to his house in Goldenrod and does give us an Eevee, but there is no single way to get Glaceon in Heart Gold and Soul Silver at all. You would quite literally have to transfer it to Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum to evolve the damn thing. Well, with nothing left to procrastinate on, we next hit up the Burn Tower where our rival awaits us for another battle. The cool thing here is that his Ghastly lead literally has no attacking move but Lick, which he's unlikely to use, so I go for Substitute, and yep, he went for Confuse Ray, so we're completely unaffected and can blast him into oblivion with Ice Beam behind our green dinosaur decoy thingy. The same then goes for Zubat, and then in comes Bayleaf, which even it can't survive one. His final Pokemon is Magnemite, which does resist Ice, which is exactly why we needed the Substitute, as we can hit it to the red. Oh, okay, the Freeze. I'll take it, even though we were safe, as another gets the job done. Oh look, Mother is calling. Whoop, nope, sorry, wrong image. Mother. There we go. Wow, would you look at that?
Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's nice and shiny.
Did you see it? Nope, absolutely not. I saw nothing. After getting lots of special attack EVs battling the many ghost trainers in the Ecruteak Gym, it's time for the 4th gym leader, Morty. Now the problem here is we have no psychic move as I accidentally got rid of Confusion, but Ice Beam does just about the same amount anyway. Now the great thing here is that his Ghastly has nothing it can do against Substitute at all, so we can freely set it up and then one-hit KO it with ease. We also get the level up from it, which is incredible for a reason that I'll explain shortly. Either way, we can then one-hit KO his Haunter again with Wicked Power, then in comes his Gengar. Now Gengar would have inevitably ended our run with Shadow Ball, even with the help of Substitute since we can't one-hit KO it, but it turns out after our level up we can outspeed it by just 2 points, allowing us to have our Substitute broken and then outspeed it for a second hit to take it down. Beautiful. His final Pokemon is a second Haunter, and the range is close, but it doesn't have anything it can KO us with from this range, and we get a crit anyway, so we didn't risk getting hit by one. Let's go. I think the only thing that could have ended us there was a Sucker Punch crit, I guess. Not only do we get the 4th badge for winning, but also the Shadow Ball TM, which could be wicked in the future. Finally being able to use Surf, we can now surf across Route 40 to arrive in Cianwood City and, forget the medicine for the dying Ampharos back at the lighthouse. I'm going through the Safari Gate to get our next encounter. Oh, we still can't get it. That's okay. It's time to investigate Union Cave again. Oh, wait, wrong place. Whoa, okay, that's cool. There's a trainer with all 3 Kanto starters in Union Cave. I completely forgot you could even see them before the post-game here. Making our way to the deepest part of the cave, we can finally find our next encounter, as only on Fridays in the water there happens to be an overworld Lapras. Now this thing is a nuisance to catch with a super low catch rate and the potential to KO us and end our run, but fortunately after many balls we did catch it. I named Lapras Florian, and he has a Jolly plus speed and minus special attack nature. Half good, half terrible, but it does have Shell Armor as its ability, meaning it cannot get crit. One of the best abilities ever for Nuzlockes. That is huge. And not only that, but we also have the first evolution of the run as well, as Cindy evolves into, okay, not so beautiful, but you get the point, a Jinx, a Pokemon I never really thought I'd be so dependent on. Let's go test her out. No, not in battle, I mean in public. Whoops, okay, we made the guy choke. And for what's ahead, we're going to need to make use of our other stab type, Psychic, and using the Night Sky's Edge event Pokewalker location by merely having a Jirachi in our game. And I did have the event Jirachi back in the day, and merely receiving it in this game violates no rules, so we can get none other than a Psychic TM, which otherwise isn't accessible until Kanto. Let's go. Smoochum does learn it at level 35 anyway, but this way we can get a boost before the next gym. Speaking of which, after clearing out all the trainers, it's time for the 5th gym leader, Chuck, the fighting specialist of Cianwood. And what do you know, our ridiculously powered up Jinx is able to one-shot both his Primeape and Poliwrath with a stab super effective 90 power Psychic from a base 115 special attack Pokemon. And good thing I actually double checked the calcs, as it turns out we initially didn't have quite enough EVs to one-hit KO Poliwrath. Okay, something tells me this isn't a good matchup. Okay, I next went to go catch a damn Farfetch'd so we could use it for Fly, and I kid you not, this thing took me 15 Ultra Balls, 4 Great Balls, 5 Pokeballs, and 1 Fast Ball, and I couldn't catch it. I wasted everything we had. Then I found a second one after stocking up, and boom, first ball. 25 balls compared to 1. Why? Just why? Okay, I got so confused looking at the map, wondering where the hell Route 41 was, and it turns out it's the small section right beside Cianwood. Whoops, don't give me a geography test apparently. Anyway, here we can finally put our good rod to use, eventually finding our next encounter, a Shelder which I catch and name Aurora. Aurora has a careful plus special defense and minus special attack nature, along with shell armor, not bad, although its best ice and water moves are special technically. And with no reason to delay doing so, I immediately use the Water Stone on her to evolve her into a monster Cloyster. Definitely a wicked cool Pokemon, even without Skill Link. Wait, Amphi, no, don't! Ah, not my water type. Leaving the lighthouse, we get a call from Boba Fett that the Safari Zone is now open, and funnily enough, we don't need it per se, but we do need the route leading to it, which is now accessible, Route 47. Reaching down to the bottom of the caves, we can now exit to the water down here where our next encounter is found, a seal, which I catch and name Flynn, and who has a plus speed and minus defense nature. Man, we really opened up the floodgates on our encounters, didn't we? And the power-ups aren't quite done yet, as all the way north in the Lake of Rage, we can now grab one of the best items in the game, the Choice Specs, which is going to be huge for Cindy especially. And for once, I have virtually no fear in taking on the Red Gyarados, as we have a bulky monster to wall it to death, don't we? Good job, Florian. And for once, Lance also doesn't scare me at all. We have a team that counters the absolute heck out of him. He's just a puny little coward. Oh, what the hell? Lance, what have you done? Having witnessed that murder, we can now find the Thief TM in the Rocket Hideout basement to get type boosting items off wild Pokemon. Then we end up chasing a Murkrow around like an absolute idiot.
I think if we all just take a couple of deep breaths here and just try to...
We then take on Commander Ariana alongside Lance, and honestly, I just sent out Florian with the Choice Specs being unaffected by Arbok's Intimidate, and being able to unleash repeated surfs to hit both opposing Pokemon, with Lance being up in the air with Fly to avoid most of our attacks anyway. Good teamwork, my dude. I just wish you'd stop killing people. And thank goodness for Cindy yet again, as we have to take on a bunch of Electrodes, which made me realize, apart from her, our team is incredibly slow and incredibly weak to the electric type. While training up for the next gym, we get some more bulk and a bit of power added to our team as Flynn evolves into a Dugong, one of the most underutilized and forgotten Pokemon out there, I think, so I'm hoping we can some use of them. You traitor! No one's allowed to have a Jinx except for me! It's time for the next gym leader, Pryce, our Ice-type arch-nemesis, who I'm taking on before Jasmine since his level cap is actually lower than hers. Against a Seal, I lead with Flynn, and we can't get affected by Hail, and we 8 times resist Ice thanks to Thick Fat and our Water and Ice typing. That's right, 8 times the resistance. Now, I thought this would be a good idea, but Seal kept using Rest repeatedly, so I switched in Florian to get Rain set up to boost the power of Surf, allowing us to 2-hit KO it instead of bringing it into the red every time. As hoped, in comes Piloswine next to get swept away by a stab super effective 95 power Surf, boosted by the Rain. His final Pokemon is then his own Dugong. Quite rare you see a Dugong versus Dugong battle, and as much as I wanted Flynn to be able to pull off the sweep, it was just taking way too long since he kept resting. Eventually, I got Cindy out there to nail him with 2 Choice Specs boosted Psychics for the W. That battle took 8 minutes, which I guess we should have expected with both sides resisting each other almost entirely. Heading back to Olivine right away since we only have one more level to work with for the cap, we next take on the 7th gym leader Jasmine the Steel Trainer, and her team is actually kinda terrifying for ours as Steel not only resisted basically all of our moves, but is super effective against us, and she just happens to have 2 Magnemite, whose electric typing is super effective against 3/4 of our team, with Thunderbolt being able to one-hit KO Cloyster for example. With that said, we have one saving grace as I lead with Florian against her Magnemite, and that is the fact that we have a plus speed nature just barely allowing us to outspeed our Magnemite, and with the choice specs attached, we do have enough power to one-hit KO it, and then can proceed to sweep through her entire team with it. You know, I kinda underestimated having plus speed on Lapras. I guess it can do a bit more than be a tanky wall kind of Pokemon. Okay, out of all the Team Rocket uniform partner Pokemon we've had, I think Jinx is the single most embarrassing. This just doesn't work thematically at all. And after being made fun of, Cindy goes on an unbridled rampage against Executive Petrol's entire team, since they're all poison-type coughings or wheezings. With the choice specs attached, we can simply spam Psychic to get 5 consecutive one-hit KOs with ease, not having to worry about anything like Explosion as a consequence. Now that's what I like to see. But the fun ends now, as in the Goldenrod Tunnel, our brilliant rival decides to impede my progress getting rid of the people that he hates. Makes sense? This time his team is quite varied and powerful, so we've got to be careful. He leads with his now evolved Golbat, and I get Aurora out there for her debut. Air Cutter hits us for a quarter, and then I get Spikes on his side of the field. We repeat this one more time, and we're in crit range afterwards, so I switch into Cindy now. Air Cutter doesn't do much before we can then get Substitute up, but he indeed goes for Bite when I was hoping for Confuse Ray. Not good, as I didn't want any damage on Cindy apart from the Substitute being up, but at least we can Psychic him into oblivion. The same then goes for his Haunter that he brings out, and then in comes a bigger threat, Sneasel, and I definitely have to switch out here. I decide to go into Flynn to tank the incoming Feint attack, which does do about a quarter or so before we get hit by another right to half. Surf then brings him to the red with the help of Spikes, but then he preemptively switches into his fully evolved Meganium. Whoa. Was not expecting that. I guess Icy Wind would have been the better play there. Now, a big problem emerges. He now has Petal Dance, an insane 120 power move that's super effective against our entire team minus Jinx, and Cindy is hurt, which I wasn't anticipating. So, ultimately, I only have one option, Florian, who tanks it just over half thankfully. Then he hits us again, and we survive on just 20 HP in the red before our berry. Then we land the Ice Beam, and with the help of Spikes and Flynn's Surf from earlier, we avoid complete disaster. That was a close one, but we're not out of the woods yet, as in comes Magnemite, another super effective threat. I have no choice but to go into Cindy, and he uses Thunder Wave to paralyze us, but I'd attached a Lumberry to heal it, and then land an Ice Beam which gets the job done despite being resisted thanks to Spikes. His final Pokemon is then his Sneasel, and the Spikes barely don't KO it, but with our plus speed nature we can outspeed even that thing, taking it down with a final attack. Wow, that was much scarier than I was expecting. After rescuing the director from the basement— oh, wait, he's got Stockholm Syndrome and wishes to stay. Alright, nothing we can do. Actually, can we retroactively amend the origins of the term Stockholm Syndrome to be the people who live in cold climates and for some reason refuse to move away? It's me. I'm Stockholm. Come on, man, get your Machoke to move these damn things. I want that item. Oh, shit. All that for an ether? Well, it's time to beat Ariana again, just like the husband stealing allegations did to her. Okay, I have no skin in this game. It's just a joke. Arianators, don't come at me, please. Well, Jinx is super effective on every single one of her Pokemon with either Stab Psychic or Ice Beam, so it was a clean sweep, especially since we're unaffected by Arbok's Intimidate. Easy work. At the top of the radio tower stands Executive Archer, the de facto leader of Team Rocket, and we've got a great counter to him, Florian with the choice specs attached, outspeeding and downing his Houndour, then getting hit by a neutral Fire Fang by his fully evolved Houndoom, but he's no match for Florian's sheer power. The same then goes for Coughing, and boom, that's the end of Team Rocket until I guess like Sun and Moon really. Imagine this is Petrol in disguise again, just double crosses us? Triple crosses? You know what I mean. Okay, you need to do your job, sir. This entire place was invaded and you were nowhere to be found. Sorry, citizen. I was on the lookout for a trainer who was terrorizing Johto with his hideous Pokemon. It won't happen again. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Bye. Alright, it's time. We finally unlocked the location where pretty much all the ice encounters are, and unfortunately for us, we're only allowed one per area as per Nuzlocke rules. Wait, there's what I'm after right there. Why can't I just grab it? Now, out of the encounters that we haven't caught yet, 2 are available in here. The one I want, Swinub, is a 40% chance, then there's Delibird, which is a 20% chance, so we have pretty good odds. And first up is... oh, good thing we got a jinx earlier through an alternative method. Alright, here we go. Oh, come on, the suspense is killing me. Surely this time we'll get what... oh no. It's Delibird, an absolute disaster. I mean, look at this thing's base stats. Garbage, and its move pool is trash too. I name him Aladdin, and he has an impish nature, plus defense and minus special attack. Okay, well, maybe we got one with hustle to raise his attack, so it's not so bad. Nope, vital spirit. Are you kidding me? We lost out on a potential Mamoswine for a Delibird which doesn't have hustle and is plus special attack nature. I think this is the single worst encounter we've ever gotten, period. What we lost because of it, the Pokemon itself and its stats, its nature, its ability, everything is terrible. Thanks, I hate it. I hope this run is still possible after this. I really do. Well, at least in here we can pick up both the Never Melt Ice and the Avalanche TM2, which should be handy. At the end of the cave stands a Kimono Girl who is apparently stuck in the ice and wants us to save her. Okay, here goes nothing.
Stop. Come out.
With that out of the way, we arrive in Blackthorn City, the location of the final gym, and the move relearner, but he's basically useless to us because Ice-type Pokemon move pools are absolute trash across the board. Making our way through the gym with ease, it's time for the 8th gym leader, Claire, the Dragon Trainer. With an Ice team, I'm feeling pretty good about this, but she does have a couple challenges for us for sure. She leads with a Gyarados of all things, hard for us to counter offensively, except, well, it turns out Florian can learn Thunderbolt of all things from the Game Corner TM. So after we get hit for 40 HP by Dragon Rage, her best move against us, we can try to fry that thing with the 4x super effectiveness, but she survives on like 1 singular HP, then preemptively switches into Dragonair, who tanks 1 with ease. Now here's the key. This thing could paralyze us with Thunder Wave, except, no word of a lie, Florian outspeeds her Dragonair by 1 singular speed stat, allowing us to avoid a whole world of tedium and pain, smashing them both with Stab super effective Ice Beam for automatic KOs. In comes the big threat though, her ace, Kingdra. With its part water typing, it isn't weak to ice and nails us to half with Dragon Pulse. Ice Beam then hits her and gets a much needed crit to the red before her berry. Beautiful. A crit would kill us here, but with its sniper ability, that's the same for our whole team, so I stay in, and she goes for a Hyper Beam, which we tank on just 44 HP, and then we let an Ice Beam, but it barely doesn't KO on like 1 HP again. But fortunately, she still has to recharge on the next turn, so another seals the deal. I almost forgot her Gyarados is then also still alive, but after she uses Hyper Potions, we get the proper T-Bolt range for the 1-hit KO and her 8th and final badge. Let's go. Well, that is, if she would give it to us. But instead, we have to go to the damn Dragon's Den to talk to a bunch of senile people.
Claire, reflect upon what it is that you lack and this child has.
What, a Lapras? Well, it's about that time I teach good old Cindy the Shadow Ball TM, which I think might be the only answer to what's upcoming. And for that, we have to head back to Eckertique City where the Kimono Girls await us in the dance theater. And they're actually quite a big threat as you have to face all 5 of them in consecutive battles without healing or the ability to switch your lead. And when it comes to Jolteon, boy would it sure be great to use a Mamoswine here. The first Kimono Girl has an Umbreon of all things, a big danger for Cindy with Dark Pulse. But regardless, with the choice specs attached, I land an Ice Beam for 3/4, then she uses Confuse Ray. Realizing the opportunity, I decide to just switch into Aladdin, kind of ironic given that Umbreon's most popular competitive set involves Wish, but I digress. And he takes Dark Pulse quite well before outspeeding with Ice Beam for the KO. Huh. Didn't think he'd be useful at all, but that works. Now here's the one good thing about the consecutive battles. Because they're not the same one, I can freely switch between moves between battles, getting the choice specs benefit each time with essentially no drawback, allowing us to 1-hit KO Espeon with our newly learned Shadow Ball. From there, I played it safe going into Flynn against Flareon to avoid the Fire Devastation on Cindy, taking it out in a single surf. Jolteon is a speedy monster, but remarkably, our plus speed nature and EV investment allow us to take it down with a single Ice Beam. The last Kimono Girl has a Vaporeon, for which I switched into Florian, and despite the fact that both of these mons are incredibly bulky water types, Florian's coverage eventually wins out with 2 Thunderbolts doing the job. And that's not all our resident Lapras is good at. He's also great at countering rampaging legendaries that live under the sea, apparently.
That was easy.
Oh great, Cindy, you've really done it now. Run for it! Escaping from the law, we arrive at the final test before the league, Victory Road. And wow, halfway through, would you look at that? The Earthquake TM. That sure would be great for a giant ice and ground type woolly mammoth, wouldn't it? Well, however weird it is that there's only a single other human being in all of Victory Road now, it's time for our final rival battle against Silver. And his team is wickedly powerful now, but with my best plan in place, let's give this a go. He leads with his Sneasel this time, and I get Aurora out there whose physical defense is astronomical. It's in space, baby. That's what that means. The reason for this is so we can set up all 3 layers of spikes quite safely, then respawn with a double power avalanche after we end up getting hit to 2/3 after 4 turns. With him incredibly weak, I went for Ice Shard to out-prioritize, but he preemptively switched into Magneton, a huge threat. Yikes. At least Spikes did do big damage, but our only Pokemon not weak to Electric is still Cindy, so I switch her into Spark, which she tanks quite well, and then land the Ice Beam for the KO thanks to Spikes. In comes Haunter next, and Ice Beam has enough power to one-hit KO it too. He then sent out Sneasel again, but with Cindy being higher level, we can outspeed it too to take it down, and the same goes for his Golbat as well. In comes his starter Meganium next, and with the help of Spikes, even that thing gets down by 1 too. His final Pokemon is then Kadabra, and again those spikes come in clutch, as even his high special defense couldn't rescue it from Cindy's raw power. Wow. Leaving Victory Road behind us, we next arrive at our final destination, the Indigo Plateau Pokemon League. After fulfilling the rest of our EVs, strategizing like a madman, and getting any remaining items and TMs we might need, it's time to take on the Elite Four. The first Elite Four member is Will, the Psychic Expert, and his team might look a bit tricky on the face of it, but with max investment and the choice specs attached, Cindy is able to one-hit KO each and every one of his Pokemon with a super effective Shadow Ball, even despite how bulky most of his team is. I also had the XP share item on Delibird so we wouldn't over-level Cindy. Honestly, I never thought I'd see the day a Jinx would be so useful, but I'm all for it to be honest. The second Elite Four member is in fact a former gym leader, Koga the Poison Expert. And I'm sure you can guess what our answer to him is. That's right, Cindy with the stab super effective 90 power 115 base special attack Psychic to obliterate the psyches of all 5 of his Pokemon. And I even took off the choice spec so I could use Substitute just in case his Fortress used Explosion, which would not have been good since I knew we couldn't one-hit KO it. Outspeeding something like a similarly leveled Crobat was also quite fun, I must say. The third Elite Four member is Bruno, one of the most long-standing Indigo Plateau members, and, well, dare I say it, Psychic from Cindy is able to obliterate his entire team as well. As all his fighting types are weak to it, the choice specs gave us enough power to make it through Machamp's base 90 HP and surprisingly good 85 base special defense, and his 2 Onix are far too weak in special defense to have stood a chance. I actually can't believe what a monster I've created. The last Elite Four member is Karen, the Dark-type trainer, and finally there's a big enough threat that Cindy can make it through on her own. Against her Umbreon, I go in with Florian to start, setting up Rain right away so we can manage any damage on that bulky monster. However, she starts doing what I feared, double teaming. Between that and her full restoring repeatedly, it was a messy affair, but Florian got the job done with a 3rd health remaining. In comes her Vileplume next, so I make the switch into Cindy to tank the Petal Dance and respawn with the Ice Beam KO on it. Then comes her Houndoom as expected, a giant threat for Cindy, so I go into Flint to help out. Crunch hits us for a 3rd, then on the next turn, she goes for Nasty Plot of all things. Uh-oh. Surf barely doesn't have enough power to one-hit KO her on like a sliver before her berry, and I was very nervous about the range here, but had to stay in. And Flynn tanks the +2 Dark Pulse on just 17 HP in the red before being able to KO her. Whew. In comes Gengar next, another big threat, but fortunately its best ghost move is actually Lick, and I know the Focus Blast will be coming in on Dugong, so I switch into Cindy who tanks it on a 1/4 health remaining, and because we are one of the few things that can outspeed her Gengar, I know we don't have to worry about Destiny Bond, tagging her with Psychic for the one-hit KO. In comes her final Pokemon, Murkrow, and I switched just to be safe in case she uses Sucker Punch, but she went for Pluck twice anyway, so Aurora can nail her with a double power Avalanche after the second one to seal the deal. Messy, but we made it through intact. Well, it's time. The final battle, the champion of both the Kanto and Johto regions, Lance the Dragon Master. And although we technically have a type advantage against him, I am not underestimating him, as he has a few tricks up his sleeve that could cause even our team a lot of trouble. He leads with his Intimidate Gyarados, and I get Florian out there. He merely hit us with an Ice Fang before quad-effective Thunderbolt just barely didn't KO on a Sliver, but at least he does waste a full restore here, and our next one brings him to the red again before he hits a Flail. Then we can finally take him out on our next attack. Then in comes Aerodactyl, which yes is weak to water and ice, but also has Stab super effective Rock Slide against our entire team. I have no choice but to just switch in our best physically defensive candidate, Aurora, who survives on just over half and unfortunately can't activate our berry. I have no choice but to stay in, and we survive on just 6 HP on a Sliver before our berry, and then we can't land the double power Avalanche KO because we flinch. No! Everything I feared just came to fruition. That ruins literally everything. Now what? Ultimately, I decide it's best just to sack Aladdin to preserve Cloyster's priority Ice Shard in case we need it, but Aerodactyl actually switches to Thunderfang and we survive it in the red. Okay then, but we cannot dare outspeed that thing, so another takes Aladdin down, our first death of this attempt. So long, Santa bird thing. Here, I can now send in Cindy and outspeed to take that thing down with Ice Beam. Sheesh. We're still not in a good position though, as in comes Charizard of all things next. Ultimately, I go in with Florian to tank the incoming Fire Fang, then Air Slash hits us to a third before Surf hits him to the red and doesn't quite get the KO. With no remaining choices, I stay in, but he preemptively switches into Dragonite. Whoa, I was not expecting that, but it eats up Surf with ease. In an effort to preserve Florian, I switch into Flynn here, and bam, he hits a 75% accuracy Dragon Rush to below half already. And I didn't have a Citrus Berry on, so I have no choice but to sit there and we take another. Was kinda hoping he'd miss it, but Flynn gets taken down. Ouch. But now we can unleash the feminine icon Cindy for the 4x super effective Ice Beam automatic KO. And with Charizard so weak he full restores, so another 2 get him from there. And finally 2 more Ice Beams 1-hit KO both his 2 remaining Dragonites, winning us the battle. We took 2 hard losses and it did get dicey for a bit, but Cindy clutched it out for us for sure. Well, we beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon SoulSilver with only Ice types, and I was not sure that was going to be possible whatsoever. But Cindy absolutely pulled through in every way. Do not underestimate Jinx, I think that's the lesson of today's video. Now we have the second half of the game ahead of us, including some of the biggest challenges yet, so if you'd like to see me continue through to the Kanto region in a second video, including some new encounters for us, drop a like and let me know in the comments. That's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time for another challenge video.